So I'm very happy to have our next speaker because she's been part of the French iOS community for quite a long time. I won't say her age, don't worry. And she will be talking about widgets. So please welcome Audrey.
Hi everyone, thank you for having me this afternoon. So there are 2 presentations left, so please bear with us. My name is Audrey, and I have 2 goals today. Try to improve my Memoji first, and the second one, trying to, encourage women to just do some talks here, right? Mathilde, you hear me? So I'm coming from a country where we know how to spell correctly, like a footballer's name, Kylian Mbappé, and another one where actually we eat cheese, charcuterie. I had too much yesterday, but also where we can eat croissant and pain au chocolat. Jérôme is going to kick me out of SwiftUI channel. I'm working at Proton, specifically on the Proton Drive, previously Proton Mail, but now I'm working on that application, which is going to be released next month. So we're going to talk about widgets. Widgets were introduced in iOS 14 and later on iOS 16. So what is a widget? So the definition is, widget is an element of graphical user interface that displays information or provides a specific way for a user to interact with the application system, operating system, or application, according to TechTarget. So on Larousse, sorry about the reference because they have boboisation in the dictionary this year, which is a process of gentrification. So widgets are an acronym with window and window fenêtre and gadget. It's a gadget. So we should know that widgets are not mini apps. They should display content. So it's all about content. So today we're going to have 3 concepts to try to learn about. I'm going to call it with an acronym you all know. It's going to be GDPR. It's not about GDPR legislation. Sorry about that. But I display 4 letters instead of 3. Yeah, well, I was hacky, so it's just for you to remember it. But basically, it's GDPR. So the widget is going to be about glanceable, personalized, and relevant design or development. You can choose whatever you want. So the first one is about having information at a glance, so quickly. So for that, we're going to use timeline provider protocol to do that. And with that timeline, we're going to have a placeholder, which is going to be this, like a placeholder of the view of the widget, basically. And also a snapshot, which is the current state of your widget, but also a timeline. So a view at a specific time you provide, considering your data. About personalized. So it's going to be about the size, the count, the kind, and the configuration. And relevance. Relevance is going to be about time. You can have an event, like a calendar. A presentation, like having a calendar displaying the number of events the day before and the actual information, detailed information on the specific day. And location, where you can have weather, and you can use directly from the widget the location where you want the widget to be displayed. So for that, basically, it's simple. So you get a timeline provider. You provide content with snapshot placeholders or other entries, and you display view content. You display the content inside a view. So quickly, to get into it, you have to use the widget extension. And if you want to have customization or dynamic stuff, you can use also intents. We'll get back to it. So if we want to use custom intents, I can implement something like events widget calendar by using a display identifier, just a string inside the widget. So using that specific intent extension, and I can have configuration. Sorry about the small mistake in intent configuration. So it's going to be static information where I have that provider, common provider, conforming to timeline provider. I have the entries, the view. I can have the display name, the description, and the supported families. But also the intent configuration, where you can basically use your custom intent and having the same class, basically. You can also use multiple widgets. Just look at the Datadog one. Sorry. So you can have multiple widgets like they have, and in different kinds. But you can also take care about the privacy. The fact that if you are in the banking application, you want to display content when the device is unlocked, to not display content when the device is unlocked, but also display it when it's locked and when it will be unlocked, by using the privacy sensitive function. So in iOS 15 came widget suggestions. Those widget suggestions are directly inside the widget screen, and you can add them. But they're using something called intents also, but recommendation on intents. And SwiftUI is really good at that, at reading all those. So basic code, if I want to display specific character using recommendation, I just have to use an intent recommendation and display like a specific hero I want to use. So that's really basic code. So on iOS 16 came up something you already know about, like live activities. But also you can have what you had with WidgetKit and ClockKit. You can port it directly by using WidgetKit. All the complication directly while using the WidgetKit framework. So live activities lock screen widget. What is it about? Simple to use. First, you have to add the support live activities into your info playlist and display information. That information can directly come to remote notifications to have live data and dynamic data directly, and to process every information directly into the widget. So for that, we use activity attributes, and the object is basically, the concept is to add an activity, update an activity, and end the activity because it lasts a certain time. We get back to it. So a common example is going to be about adding an activity. Right now, I'm going to order like famous dishes. I like food. You guessed that. Something like famous Senegalese food, which is called Ceeb-bu-jën. But also, for that, I'm going to try to update my activity with ordering and process of ordering. So I'm going to use other attributes coming from activity conformity to activity attributes, and add just an image and the text. So requesting the attributes, updating them by using the activity.update task, function with the task, and basically ending the activity. So this can be displayed as, in a activity lock screen, as something which is really sensible and which is really relevant. So the orders received, orders in progress, and I can eat. What about the new thing the new iPhone have? It's Dynamic Island. On Dynamic Island, it's just a small piece of screens. Sometimes you don't even see it because you get used to not seeing the notch. but it's really nice. And with that, you can just try to replace text, informational text, relevant one. On the right, the example is all about just replacing the image on the right. So basically, it's working with having like a region in the dynamic island. We have the leading, the trailing, I will replace, the center, and which is just before, it's just a little bit, it's not just that center, and the bottom. So if I want to build a dynamic island, also simple, I have a context. The context is the order of my command. So I have a status of the command. So by switching to all the layouts of the dynamic island, I can just get the image and replace it according to the status. So we have expanded region. So you have a lot of, it's a big it's a big piece of code. And basically, you are going to have the dynamic island where you have everything you want to display inside the views with all the leading, trailing, center, bottom, and the expanded one, and everything related to compact displays, like leading, trailing, and minimal one, the one I showed you before. And with some background, because they are in black as a default value. So dynamic island, live activities, WidgetKit. By using WidgetKit, ActivityKit, that's basically it. So what I want to show you is just a small start of having all those widgets, and by respecting some concepts. So to summarize, please make it GDPR compliant, GPR. Live activity can use remote notifications, and they are not there forever. They last up to 8 hours. So we can cook now, right? Everything is OK. So please start with a small step, one, and maybe you're going to have multiple widgets. Thank you. Merci.
Thank you, Audrey.
Yeah. So just as a quick note, so so Wednesday evening we have speakers dinners with all the speakers, and not everybody is invited, of course. But we were talking with Audrey about the dynamic island, and she said, "Oh, I didn't put that in the slides, and today it's there." So I mean, it's massive work, and you can guess that speakers worked like until the very last minute to update slides and the talks to bring awesome content on stage. So well, it was great, and thank you.
Thank you.
So on how many widgets did you work?
I'm working right now. I'm trying to work on all the widgets from all the products, basically mail, calendar, drive, and VPN. So different kinds of interactions. So on the VPN, you're going to maybe have to directly have access to the latest country you want. On events, well, everything related to calendar. On drive, maybe the progress status. On the live stream activity, lock screen. And on mail, well, same as the calendar, so displaying mail in a relevant way.
What about the limitation of live widget appearing on the lock screen? You talked about GDPR, and how do you? Is there anything that you are prevented to do by the OS or by the framework to avoid you displaying sensitive data?
So I talked about the private sensitive stuff, but the activity lock screen, well, it doesn't display all those. We can use basically the attributes also on the live screen, on live activity.
All right.
So
okay.
it's working.
Okay, that's great.
But you should kind of take care of the fact that maybe don't use it too much, because that's not the goal. The goal is to to basically display stuff and not to hide everything every time.
Yeah.
Apart from the widgets you're working on, what are your favorite widgets?
The Datadog one. Basically the weather, the one on weather, calendar. I use it like a lot. I'm using the Spark calendar, the Mail calendar, it depends. And the music one. Sometimes the photos. Well, a lot of them.
Actually, did you was widget for you an opportunity to get into SwiftUI, or you knew SwiftUI before doing widgets?
Well, I've used SwiftUI since its first version in 2020 with my colleagues at Echo. So yeah, so we use it, and basically I choose to present widget because it was kind of like the first framework, basically only on UIKit on SwiftUI, so that people can start fresh, trying to just have a piece of code to just isolated piece of code because it's in an extension. So that we can play around like small views, not too much logic. And that's why I wanted to just present it, to give opportunity to people just doing UIKit these days, which is not bad, to at least get a sensation of something new. But
all right.
Thank you, Audrey.
Thank you.
Thank you.